Okay, first of all, let's go through and highlight the AL at the end of these words, which when we add AL to a base or root word, it forms an adjective. So that will help you in the future to recognise that. Now, when we have CI or TI in the middle of a word, it's going to make the sh sound. So I've put up the spelling rule card for you. You know that we only use SH for the sh sound at the beginning or end of a short word. So if we want to use the sh sound in the middle of a word, we either use TI, CI or SI. We could use XI, but there's only 2 or 3 words with XI in them. And CE is, there's only ocean basically. So let's just go through and highlight that so you remember that you're using the CI in these words for the sh sound. And the bottom, we've also just got one TI word, but we have done this fairly frequently before. Now the other thing that you need to highlight in these words is the ENT, ENCE and ENCE. So I've put up the spelling rule for that too, when to use ENCE or ANCE rule. ENCE usually follows words that end in ERGE or ERE, and ANCE usually follows words that end in EAR, UREY, making the I sound, a T, a D or a B. Now the other thing that you're going to have coming through on the day 2 and day 3 pages is that we can add prefixes to many of these words. So un means not, reverse of or lack of. Im is a prefix change rule. It comes from the prefix in, but if the base word or root word starts with an M, a P or a B, you know you change into im, just to make it easier to say the word. Now the prefix in means not, without or lack of. So do pull out those spelling rule cards if you need some more information. Now let's go through and look at what each of these words mean. So social means relating to society or its organisation, or needing companionship and best suited to living in communities. Official means relating to authority or a public body and its activities and responsibilities. It can also mean having the approval of an authority or a public body, and it can also mean employed by an authority or public body in a position of authority. Financial is relating to money or possessing money, or the money situation of an organisation or person. Artificial means synthetic. Commercial means concerned with or engaged in commerce. And it can also mean making or intended to make a profit. And it's the money from broadcasted advertisements on TV, we call them commercials. And it can also mean supplied in bulk and not of a high quality if it's commercial grade. Especially means to single out one person or thing over others, or can also mean to a great extent or very much. Efficient means productive. Sufficient means enough. Patience means being able to cope with a delay, a problem or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. And conscience is a person's moral sense of right and wrong. In this list we're revising that CI or TI, commonly used for the sh sound in the middle of a word, so you can go through and highlight all of those. We went through the meanings of these words yesterday, so if you have any difficulty, go back to the day 1 video. So here we just want you to fill in the gap with the list word. Now, if you're looking for the synonym, you're looking for the word the list word that means the same as these 3 given words, and of course antonyms, you're looking for the list words that mean the opposite to these 3 given words. Complete with a list word, we're looking for common word pairs here. You're going to use the list words from above, of course, and we want you to use the list words in a sentence. You've got 2, you've got especially and efficient in one sentence, and commercial and artificial in another sentence. Now, complete the expression and give its meaning. So to have a clear conscience, what does that mean? To climb the social ladder, what does that mean? And patience is a virtue, what does that mean? So you've got quite a bit to work there. You may need to discuss these expressions within your group to work out what their meanings are, or you could research them. Most of these words end in al, and we know that al at the end of a word usually forms an adjective. But they could also be, some of them could also be nouns. So social could be an adjective and a noun, same as official, same as financial, same as commercial, whereas artificial is just an adjective. Now, especially is an adverb, and then we have efficient, sufficient are just adjectives, and patience and conscience are nouns. Now, I've told you that, you may need to notate that to make the rest of the page a bit easier for you. So down here it says, add the prefix un, im or in to change a list words into its opposite. Now you're going to have to look at the first letter of each of those root words or base words to work out which prefix you're going to have to add to make them into their opposite. And then we want you to use each of them in a sentence. Now make the list words into a noun, then use them in a sentence. Now I've given you a hint here. These are both going to go from their adjectival meanings into a noun. So just be careful there. Now write the list word for the verb. So you've got suffice, socialise and specialise. So you're going to go from a verb to an adjective, except for this one. This one you're going to go from a verb to an adverb, and it's got to be a list word. So just make sure when you're finishing going through this section here, you have to work out which verb is in the incorrect tense and circle it, and then write it in the correct tense on the line at the end. Now, commonly when we add ly to the end of a word, we're forming an adverb, and then we want you to use that new adverb into a sentence. So in both of these cases, you're changing an adjective into an adverb. Now make the list word into an adjective to fill the gap word. So in the first one, you're going to go from a noun to an adjective. In the second one, you're going to go from an adverb to an adjective. And in the last one, you're going to go from a noun and change it into an adjective. So you may want to discuss some of that within your group, but otherwise have a look at, go back through the video and have a look at the little hints that I've written in here for you to help you. Okay, you know that an adjective describes a noun. Commonly an adjective can end in al, but not all the time. So we want you to go through and highlight all the adjectives that you can find in this passage. There are 22 of them. Now down here we want you to cross out the adjective and write a more interesting or specific one on top. So you cross out the word mean, and we want a better one above it. Down here we want you to write an interesting adjective for the nouns below. So we want you to add the adjective to each of these nouns, and then down here we're going to push you to use 2 adjectives for 1 noun, which makes your writing really interesting if you can do that when you have to write a narrative or a persuasive text. So adjectives can be used to describe a person's appearance and their personality. Write 1 of each for each person. So 1 for their appearance and 1 for their personality. So commonly a nurse would be maybe tall, but they would be compassionate. So 2 adjectives to describe a chef and 2 adjectives to describe an athlete.